All right, so a special good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our afternoon service. And to those online, we want to welcome you in a special way. So you should have a song on your page, on your, on your device, Fourth Angel, on the group. You got it? So open that song, the 8 Laws of Health, the 8 Laws of Health prayer. And those who are not in the group, you're going to have it on the screen. Mike? Should be there now. You seen it? All right, so it goes to the tune, Father, lead me day by day. All right? So, you know this will want to get trouble now, right? All right, I'm not touching anything, so it's nothing. Come, Jesse. All right, so if you have it in your, just share with somebody who doesn't have, and we're going to sing it together. Let me see hands up those who have it. Sister Gail, you have it? Well, Sister Gail at the back, sorry. There are 2 Gails here, sorry. Yeah. Again, we want to welcome Gail and our uncle to the house today. All right, so we just want to make sure that we have it. All right. All right, so you're going to sing together. You ready? Father, that's not that. Andrew is coming. Yeah? Who is it for me? Go ahead. Go on, Ella.
The time
Amen? You like it? All right, so you have it on your devices. Dr. Steve, I have to get a copy for you, all right? So you could probably forward it. Good to have you here as well, Sister Ingrid. Always a pleasure having you guys in the house. Praise the Lord for that. So what we're going to do some different things this afternoon. That's one. And I want to give each person, that's adult and teenagers, one great controversy. Yeah? But what I was thinking of doing, because I'm not just giving it to you, I want to give it to you to get it to somebody special. And then you will come next week and report, all right? So think of someone that you want to give. The whole idea of mission is to get literature into everybody's house, to everybody's home. So, all right, we live in different vicinities. So I'm going to ask, if probably Andrew, if you don't mind. Yeah, thanks. Come. Just give everybody, that's the adults and teenagers, a great controversy. You will do the stamping. We'll pass the stamp around and you will stamp it. So, yes, top one. No, sir. All right. So, let me know go to Richard. Right, so every individual is going to get one, even our visitors, and you're going to give it to someone. Think of someone. This is not a random giveaway. You're going to give somebody a book into their hand. We have found that doing house to house is inexpensive. It doesn't need a lot of planning, and it really puts us out there in terms of mission. So you're going to give everybody a great controversy, and as a matter of fact, I think we should stamp it before we give it out, so that you can have it in your hands to share. All right? And if when you come back next week, all right? Don't forget the stamp is upside down, so you need to look at that. Right. So when you get through that particular test, then you will get another book, A Steps to Christ. All right? Every home is going to have somebody that you meet this week is going to you're going to give them a book, all right? So she will help, so we'll just stamp and pass it, or we want to do it right from here so you could be ready. All right, so Jesse, oops, sorry, not supposed to see that. Jesse will share the other one. You want to give Dr. Agard all this time. It wasn't planned, but that's how God plans things, all right? So share the next one. Well, it's all in one, right? It's on one page. All right, let me find mine. All right, not that one. He just forwarded it. All right, so this is just a simple, this as well, I want you to, and I'm giving you this, right, I found this to be a fun something to give out. Right. So it's called the How to Get Well Naturally. So it is on you now to print this on your own, right? We are accustomed doing things and getting it to you, but if you're really interested, Sister Giselle, you have it on you on our chat, right? Right, so it should be there. So you have, call it out for me, the one on the left, the one on the top left is, right, next one, right. Right, and the last one is trust in God, right? So the best 8 doctors anywhere, no one can deny it, are exercise and sleep and air and water, sunshine. This is supposed to be a poem, right? And diet. These 6 will gladly care for you if you are willing. Your ills they'll mend, your cares they'll tend, and charge you not, a shilling. And then to these we'll add 2 more to make the list complete. With doctors, temperance and trust, poor health, you will defeat. All right? So I want everybody to have one in their hand, and you're going to give it to somebody this week. All right, brethren? That is your homework. If you didn't do it, don't come. Well, I shouldn't say that. Still come to church. All right? I will reprimand you from right here. So we have a great controversy, and Sister Gail O'Neill, you're going to have one too, right? And you're going to report to us from Tobago. All right? Right. So let's go on to the next one. The next one is this. Survival in a bucket. All right. So if you have it on your what you call it, your device, right? So Andrea and Nushi are going to give you a book. Brethren, this is treasure you have. You only want to give it to one person. All right? One person. So this morning we spoke about, Dr. Steve, we spoke about the early time of trouble, where, and Dr. Steve is no mean gardener himself. He has a massive garden where he lives. So it tells us that even if you live in different climates, you can still have a garden. All right? We need to eat what we grow and grow what we eat. And this is not about faith now. This is about faith in action, because God is not going to do for you what you can do for yourself. So we need to start preparing and so on. There was something I was looking at. I'm not sure if anybody heard of a Myla bag. You know what's a Myla bag? No. I think I have a copy of it here. These are Myla bags. You all know these? Yeah. I understand there are different sizes that they can store food for a very, very long time. Somebody saying yes. Who's saying that? Says Andre, yes. They can store food. Now, based upon what I researched, they say they can store food up to 25 years. You know, we don't have all that time, right? Yeah. Not in a bucket. It's a bucket as well. All right. So, you know, one of the things about life is, do we have enough food for a year? Yeah, you know, like, if you get, we have some friends in Canada, they were blocked out. They had a terrible rain when you all were there. Terrible rain in Saskatchewan, and they were blocked out of society. And they could not get into the town because the place was blocked out. So sometimes we need to start thinking beyond the regular just running to the store and picking up stuff. God is telling us we need to prepare, because buying and selling is going to be an issue, a troublesome issue. And I don't think I have food in my house for a month. Anybody have food in the house for a month? Candy, you? You? Good. Let me see hands of those who have food in the house for a month. Very good. Very good. Let me see. I'm going to stretch it now. 2 months. So probably when you come, Dr. Steve, you could tell us, you do canning and thing, or you just have food? You do canning? Yeah, good. Right. So, it is good to have food, Sister Candy. Yeah? Sometimes our freezer is just full with things that we can't eat. Yeah? A lot of extras. But if a crisis should hit, we should have food at least to tie us over. The benchmark is you should have food in your house for a year. Sister Gail, you have food in your house for a year? A grocery? Okay. Yes? Take the mic, Andy, be online. Thanks.
One of the best things to plant is sweet potato. You know, it does grow quick, and they say that's how it have everything in it. All the nutrients.
In terms of storage,
storage, yeah. Proper storage, everything.
So, when I was in St. Lucia, I haven't proven it. You know, we have the modern dehydrators. All right? Dehydrating is a good way as well to keep food. All right? But not everybody. Now, if we reaching a crisis where there is no electricity and you don't have a generator power, because generator is also powered by something. It's not powered by thin air. So there is a solar dehydrator, but it's all natural. It's made of simple material, and they put a sheeting in it. It wasn't completed. I didn't see any draining, but I think it's a good idea. It can dehydrate the food, but it has to be left outside in the sun. All right? So dehydrating is a good way as well for keeping food and for storing your herbs and stuff like that. Yeah? I don't think so. All right? So these Mylar bags, you all need to research it. My research showed that you could put things like crackers. You know, crackers normally you'll get soft and, crackers for a long... research shows that crackers can last for 3 years in this. So you have your vital supplies. So you all can test it out, test it out. No, but there is a way as well. Right. See, so we're still researching, but I have a personal testimony from a friend. She has beans for 2 years now in Mylar bags, as opposed to getting the not the shrink wrap, the something else. All right, so you research it, and it's something to consider as we start getting to a particular time in our life. Now, where was I? Right, on this. I just had the picture up, remember? Right, survival in a bucket. So this is, you could improvise, but these are just thoughts, because buying and selling is going to be troublesome just now. So this is from a world report, right? It says, accounts of those who have survived tragedy and catastrophe, no matter the crisis, demonstrate that survival is as much a state of mind as a state of being. Fortitude, determination, a cool head, and confidence constitute priceless parts of any survival. All right? So it says here is a simple, affordable, doable plan. Act on it. Act immediately. Purchase 2 or more 6-gallon plastic buckets. You know those buckets, right? Why has it pigtail there? You can just say paint. That's what we know, right? Pigtail buckets. These buckets are tall, have substantial bales, which are handles and lids, and they are ideal for your basic survival plan. These buckets are easily transported. By that we mean they may be tossed into the trunk or back seat of the automobile for quick escape, or they may be carried by hand or even worn as a backpack. I'm not sure about that. They are moisture and vermin resistant. In short, they are ideal for the plan outlined below. Every item listed was purchased, and this is an American ideal, right? At Walmart, we will say what here, Price Mart, all right? Walmart or Kmart or something like that, right? That's what I'm saying. So this is an American thing, right? And many of the items included cost $1 or less. All right? At least $7, right? At least less than $7, all right? Right. See, Brother Kendall has buckets. Okay. So one bucket can keep 2 people alive for 15 to 30 days. 2 buckets can keep an average family alive for 30 to 45 days. Yeah? Time is precious, time is survival, and you are buying time. Time to travel and relocate if necessary. Time to have power or other social services restored. Buying time for others. Could you imagine that we just got a cut off? Yeah, a storm, and you don't have your bucket. But it have to have things in it, eh? So these are the things. Now, of course, it will be applicable to your place that you live. All right? Does that make sense? So this is the list. This is by no means comprehensive, but it promises to keep you survived for at least how long you want to live. All right. Good. So the buckets. Number 2, a road atlas. You can read maps, by the way. Colin can read maps. Right, good. I'm not sure where's the canteen. Water purification tablets. Now this is important, right? Water purification tablets. You never know. Yes? Take the mic. The mic here. This is on the chat now, right? Anybody seen it? This is on the chat now, right? Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of earthquakes going on all over the world. And very close to us, we had Venezuela recently. And, you just don't know when whatever going to happen. So even if, you're not looking at the time of trouble, it have so much earthquakes going on, and it's always good to be prepared.
Good to be prepared. Amen, brethren, especially as God's people. So it goes on. So water purification tablets, at least 150. Multifunction survival tools. I see Colin has one. 3. Duct tape. A folding saw. Fishing kit, optional. Utility razor knife. A camp hatchet. 2-wire coat hangers. Yeah. 1 small magnifying glass. Yeah. A whistle. Tarpaulin. A parachute cord. Now, you need to have some kind of cord, right? You're not going anywhere, right? Flashlight and batteries. Candles. Waterproof matches. I never saw that before. But, yeah. Fire sticks. Lighters. A compass. A cook kit. Plastic cutlery, of course, a cook pot with lid, sharp paring knives, and camping can opener. These are small items. I made 2 buckets you're going for at least, right? 1 second, Elder. Long plastic spoon, disposable washcloths, salt and condiment packs. These are optional. Dried soups. What comes to mind, Nushi? Ramen. Never. So dried soups, food packs, powdered milk, pans, tea bags, sweetener, dried beans, and so on. I'm not sure about tomato paste, olive oil, plastic bags, plastic cups, bowls, sewing kit, gloves, a brown jersey, I'm not sure why, rain ponchos. Huh? You should be able to lift it after, right? All right. So let's get to some of the important things like extra band-aids, vitamins, aspirin, ibuprofen, Tylenol, insect repellent. You must have that. Charcoal capsules, chewing gum. You think you need chewing gum? Soaps, deodorant, toiletries and so on, right? A Bible, devotional readings, eyeglasses. All right, so let's hear Elder Colin, and then we go to the next slide. You come into the end. Use the mic.
Yeah, evening again, brother. This morning I heard you talking about lighting fires, learning to light fires. if you have to learn to light a fire without matches, learn to light a fire that doesn't generate smoke. Right? Look it up, Sister Lauren. You'll learn that, right? Learn to light a fire that doesn't generate smoke. Because if you have to light a fire, it means that you're hiding. Right? 2, do you all know how to know when water is good to drink in the forest? Once you see something alive in it, you could drink it.
Okay.
Yeah. Once something is moving in it, you could drink it.
Right.
If you don't see anything moving in it, you should be cautious.
So that's why we said walk with your tablet, charcoal tablets, but then there are also this mini water purifiers. Right. Purifier, right? All right, so next one. So list of hand tools. This one is kind of tiny. So let me see if I can make it any bigger. That good? Those in the back not seeing. Right. So let me see if I could, right. So a list of hand tools, right? Hand tools that you should have, because we would not have power. Everything is powered now, but we will not have power. All right? So it says in the second line, they solely rely on the physical effort of the individual to perform tasks such as cutting, tightening, chopping, sawing, forging, striking, and so on, right? Hand tools do not require external energy, of course. Hand tools are also classified based on their functions, cutting, striking, and this is the list here below. All right, so you can look at the list. It's on your device. All right, anything that you want to add to this? Right? So electrical is like wire stripper is not for electrical, but you know, right? Strips of wire and so on. Pickaxe, spade, fork, things for farming and plumbing and carpentry and so on. So these are tools that you should start getting accustomed to. That's not for the bucket. Yeah. Right. Let's go to the last one, I think, now. Huh?
You know, there are a lot of sites on YouTube showing you how the Chinese and them does go in the forest and literally build mansions, you know. No, chopping down bamboo and all kind of thing and putting it together and everything. Maybe we should spend some time looking at these things in our spare time.
Yeah, they do not
fishing and planting and all kind of thing. How to survive out there? It'll be
all
really
right.
Good to look at.
So last one. All right, you're making a lot of noise. I know when we get this thing, we get excited. I want you all to get excited and do it, right? Excited and do it. Yeah? And learn to use the tools as well. We can do that. Right here. All right. So a medical emergency kit. Shh. Keep in a clear plastic bin, labeled and dated. Hydrogen peroxide. Yeah, antiseptic mouthwash to gargle and pour in airs for colds. Well, Dr. Agard is here, so he will tell us the validity of these things. Baking soda for stomach acid system. Charcoal. I'm going to go through everything. Cayenne pepper for digestion. You need aloes. Turpentine. Well, I was investigating this one. What the person said is that they put it on their navel, and it's not for to be taken internally, right? Yeah. So it is proven. Well, so the person said from his personal testimony, he's used to like he's having some issue. I can't remember what it is, right? But let's put a asterisk by that one. Unless you take that as something to ingest. Essential oils, teas, band-aids, scissors, pins, tweezer, syringe, of course toothbrush, and all that goes with that. A thermal blanket, flashlight and batteries, candles, matches, blood pressure monitor, thermometer, Vaseline, ivory soap. I don't know my ivory soap. You could get soap from Sister Lorraine. Yeah. Yeah. Dry fruit. Yeah. No soap. Be buying soap from Sister Lorraine. And that's about the size of it there, right? Not supposed to see that. Right. So, the whole effort, I'm coming to Sister Lorraine, the whole effort is not to run from the authorities. And this is not about extreme survival. This is for the short to medium term or even long term issues that we could have. We are told that with the advent of the Sunday law, buying and selling is going to be a problem. Yeah? So we can't wait until it happens and then decide to scramble. We need to start thinking that way, always living as though you are ready for any emergency, and start thinking of, something could happen. It might just be an emergency of economics, and you have enough food to carry you through for a month. All right, Sister Lauren, and then we
two questions. One, in terms of your ID, and nobody tell you, like in a case of a flood or something, that you should always have these things in Ziploc bag and so on. So in this bucket, do you think that's important? That's one.
Yeah. You should have your IDs and whatever you have as your personal identifications. Yes.
Right. And the other thing is, do you have crazy glue?
Crazy glue.
Yeah. The reason why I'm asking that, a close friend of mine, he said he goes on the sea for a long period of time, and sometimes he might have an accident, like a hook in his leg that would require surgery or something, and he said the crazy glue works very well. Close it. Yeah, until he could get to. So that's something he always has. So major cuts uses the crazy glue. I know we could throw cayenne in it, but in a case where you might need surgery, he says that works perfectly. So he does it all the time. And
all right.
Yeah.
So we can look at these things. So remember, this is just a pilot, and we are still exploring a lot of the ideas, but we're going to get it correct. All right. So remember, your homework is to get in the hand of a neighbor, a friend, somebody that you consider, a piece of literature. That's your homework for this week. And when I see you next week, please the Lord, you're going to have an event, and of you reporting as to what you did. You qualify, you get another book. Yeah, these books cost, and we don't just want it to, at random. These are to give out. I want to read a statement first before I close. That kind of validifies what I'm saying. It's from Christ Object Lessons, page 229. Stay with me. The Lord desires that his word of grace shall be brought home to every soul. To a great degree, this must be accomplished by personal labor. This was Christ's method. His work was largely made up of personal interviews. He had a faithful regard for the one soul audience. Through that one soul, the message was often extended to thousands. We are not to wait for souls to come to us. We must seek them out where they are. When the word has been preached in the pulpit, the work has just begun. There are multitudes who will never be reached by the gospel unless it is carried to them. Amen? So therefore, let's get the word to somebody. The book Great Controversy, is that book is going to explode even more. We have a lot of nice stories about them. But we want to have a personal experience. Give somebody the book in their hand. Tell them that you care for them. Every home in your neighborhood should have a piece of literature from you. You understand that, brethren? Every home in your neighborhood should have a piece of literature from you. These are the silent messengers, and it is cheaper than doing a crusade. It is cheaper than doing a street meeting. You don't need to get the maxi to carry us up the road. You could give everybody a piece of literature. And the fun one with the first one with the 8 doctors, I think that's a good entering wedge as well. People will be excited to see these simple animated things. All right, so at this time I want to invite Dr. Agard to come and speak to us. It's always a pleasure having you here, sir. And our rule is, as long as you come here, you have to say something. All right? Thanks a lot. All right. Yeah, yeah. Just watch what Jesse's telling you because you want to know.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be here and to fellowship. And as you sure probably had a good service this morning, and this evening I hope I could share with you some insights. You know, I think that little cartoon that you showed there with the 8 laws, it really sums up things that we could do by way of lifestyle, because we know we are struggling with a lot of diseases now that really should be disease of aging when people get into their 80s and 90s, but we're seeing younger and younger people now with heart disease, which is the #1 killer. A lot of times if somebody have a diagnosis of cancer, they get scared and there's no sense of urgency, but your heart is more likely to kill you than cancer. But just to you know, just put my blessings on that little caption that you show. Actually, Loma Linda came out with a program called New Start. So that's similar to New Start, which N is for nutrition, E is for exercise, and I'm going to comment on these in, you know, in a certain way that we could understand and have a sense of. I want us to have a sense of intentionality, be intentional about it, and not just hear something today and you'll continue living the same. So yeah, so New Start, N for nutrition, E for exercise, W is for water, and they're very important. S is for sunlight, T is for temperance, and temperance is a biblical concept that means that the things that are bad, like tobacco and alcohol, you stay away from, and the things that are good, you use in moderation. All right, A is for air, so good fresh air. And we right in the area we could get good fresh air. We know across the globe now. Well, you guys getting the what do you call this? Sahara dust and all that stuff. The whole world is just like polluted. All right, and R is for rest. Rest is also very important. And actually, there was a recent study that came out that shows that when you don't get sleep at night, it's as bad as smoking tobacco. That's how much damage it can do for your heart when you don't get sleep at night. So these things are becoming more important, and these are what we call evidence-based medicine. What we do is evidence-based. It's not like we just coming out with something that, you know, out of a hat or something. And the last T is your trust in God, because we know that one of the major factors that's involved in people just dropping dead, young people just dropping dead, is the amount of stress that a lot of people are living with today. So I'm gonna kind of give a caption and always say when I do programs that I could tell you a whole lot of information, some of it, a lot of it scientific, which is good, because evidence-based medicine, we can look back, look forward to, and test things to see the validity of it. So I could give you a whole lot of information and really might not mean anything to you. So I'd like to give you a chance to ask questions, you know, regardless, and don't be afraid, any question you ask, whether it's cancer or even about herbs, whatever question you have, you know, by God's grace, that I could help you to understand, so that the whole goal, God said in his word that he wished above all things that we prosper and be in health, even as our soul prosper. God is interested in our health. It's not something that we just take lightly. So so yes, I'll give you, and when you ask your questions, a lot of times in America we are very big on HIPAA, you know, in terms of we don't want somebody to know what you have, and so you could actually say that you know somebody who knows somebody, because there's nobody that knows you like you. All right? So it doesn't have to be you so that other people start thinking that she has that, you know. No, but if you really need your question answered, we hoping that we could share that. So I'm going to, right now in America, there's approximately 100,000 centurions, people who live to be 100. Japan also just celebrated 100,000, and there's some ways we're going to talk about this. There's 5 blue zones. I'm not sure if anyone ever heard about the blue zones. The blue zones are the areas in the world that has the most centurions, and these are people who live to be 100, and they're not in a nursing home or in a wheelchair, or they're active people. Actually, I saw a patient in my office last week. She's 96 years old. And she told me she's driving up to New York. I said, really? You know, yeah. So, you know, but and that's, you know, I hope that God bless us that when we get into our 70s, 80s, and 90s, we are still as robust as could be. And it takes some intentionality to get there. It doesn't just come to you, because the natural process of aging, actually there's a word that we just recently looked at. It's something called sarcoplasm, in which the body tends to get weaker and weaker, especially if we don't give it the ingredients, the things that are needed to keep it strong. Actually, we were in Kenya about 2 years ago, and we went to do a mission in Kenya. After we finished in the area on Lake Victoria called Kendu Bay, we went to one of the safari areas. And so there you have the Maasai people. The Maasai, they're very tall people, and they're known for jumping. They have the stick and they just jump. Now, in Western culture, in Western society, we tend to, you know, put people into senior citizen, and we notice that those people weren't doing that. In America, there are 2 ages that are important. When you turn 40, it's an important age in Western society, because you can no longer say you're a young adult or you're a teenager. When you turn 40, you're an adult. All right? And the next age is when a person turns 60. Actually, in America, before you turn 50, AARP, that's Organization for Older People, they start sending you literature. You know, when I got mine when I was 49, I'm saying, well, they're sending me this. I'm not, you know, and I hope you don't. So it's a whole mindset. So, but yeah, so when you're 60, people start treating you like, you know, senior citizen. Those are some of the designation. I agree. Yeah, no, you know, yeah, I'm not there yet. So, but the Maasais, just before we went into their compound to do our clinic, they had a ceremony for us. And what we noticed, some of the Maasais that were in their 70s and probably 80s, they were jumping as high as the 15-year-old. You know why? They never stop jumping. All right? We, as soon as we get a little, I work hard all my life and now is the time. Actually, I tell my patient, when you retire, don't let them give you a recliner. It's the number one gift that people get when they retire, a recliner. All right? Remember, science tells us a body in motion stays in motion. A body at rest stays at rest. So we're going to talk a little bit about the benefit of exercise. So a health talk or any health feature really should feature really protecting your heart, because your heart as an organ is the one thing that can take you out, you know, without warning. That's why we call it silent killer. Just about 2 months ago, one of my colleagues, he's a young man. He's 54 years old. We still consider him young, in the prime of his life. Very active guy. When he went to school at Jefferson Medical School, I was one of his professors or teachers when he did some rotation in Delaware at Christiana Care. And this guy, he had actually promised to go with us on mission. He was in the gym, went home from the gym, and went to make breakfast and for his children. He has 2 kids and his wife. While they were upstairs, they came downstairs. They found him unresponsive. By the time they called 911, he was brain dead. It was just too late. So we buried him about 7 weeks ago. that same week, one of my patients, her daughter, the daughter is 28 years old. 28 years old, all right? She was breastfeeding her baby. She had a cardiac arrest. She collapsed on the baby, suffocated the baby, and both of them perished. Right in Wilmington, Delaware. You know, so it's getting more common, and a lot of scientists, we are racing, you know, to see why is it that we are seeing younger and younger people now having heart attack and strokes, and without warning. Just before Christmas, we had 4 people that was connected to my practice. They weren't all my practice, but at least their parents were my patients. One 34-year-old, he went to Walmart to buy a gift for his son, came back to his pickup truck, held his chest, he went down and he died. I don't know if you guys saw, there's something going around with a young girl from Barbados. She's 34 years old. 34 years old. All right, was doing a presentation, and while she was doing the presentation, just collapsed and died. And so we are seeing that the youngest we've seen is 19 years old who just died. We had a 22-year-old who, and this guy was a math wizard. And a lot of these are not just congenital heart disease. These are people who, and I'll give you the physiology behind it soon. But these are people, 22 years old, the grandmom found him at the bottom of the stairs, massive heart attack. There's another patient, I went to a 70th birthday party, and while I was sitting at the table, there was a gentleman who told me that he and his friend, they were to play golf that morning. His friend is 30 years old. And the friend didn't show up. When he called the number, they told him the friend died, 30 years old. All right, so, and again, it can happen so without warning. Another colleague of mine, he and his wife went out to dinner, came home, watched a movie, went to bed. Night, he put his arm around his wife, cold as ice, right next to him. So sometimes you don't even get a chance to say, I'm not feeling well. You know, this young lady from Barbados, if you saw the, she was just in the middle of a speech. Because what happened, I want you to picture this. When I was in medical school about 100 years ago, we learned, we always learn, thanks. Yeah, we always learn that what causes a heart attack and a stroke is plaques that build up in the lining of the blood vessel.
Check 1, 2.
What causes plaques? Whenever you eat, if you don't burn up what you eat, you store it as fat and as cholesterol in the lining of the blood vessel. Thanks. And so I want you kind of, you know, picture this, that the blood vessel is a tube. So this blood vessel carries oxygen and nutrition. It carries oxygen and nutrition to every cell in your body needs oxygen and nutrition. If you want to put the hierarchy of the important cells, the brain needs oxygen 24/7. The heart also needs it. Now, the problem is, so older people over years can build up plaques. We are seeing that these plaques that causes heart attack and stroke usually start at age 10. At age 10, we usually start. We are seeing those plaques now in babies. Babies are born with them. And that's why nutrition plays a significant role, because part of it is just we are eating so much food that are high in calories and low in nutrients. All right? And also we are not exercising, and we're going to get to that part. So normally when a patient comes to me, I would demonstrate, because, you know, a picture tells 1,000 words. So, but I want you in your mind's eye thinking of these plaques. So you eat a meal and you just go and lie down, or the meal is just, you know, very high in calories in some ways, especially when it's even when you're vegetarian or vegan, because you could be a carbitarian where you're just all eating so much carbohydrates. All right, you eating the macaroni and what else, you know, rice, and then you eat potato with it, and then dumplings, and you know, and then, you know, cassava and yam, all this, you know, because, and we're not saying that we're not saying don't have them, you know, and this is the part where we're going to be temperance, because we're not going to overeat these things. But because carbohydrates convert to glucose very quickly, and that's why we normally, if a person is diabetic, we normally tell them about the carbohydrates, because, you know, there's 3 main food groups, and, you know, I'm talking a lot in different areas, so hopefully you gather some of what I'm saying. But carbohydrates is anything sweet or starch, and then you have protein, and then you have fat. Every single thing that you eat eat or drink fall in these groups. One, the problem with carbohydrates is just a simple carbon chain. It's a straight chain. Everything that you eat convert to glucose. Glucose is a carbohydrate. So if, to convert like fructose or sucrose or any kind of carbohydrates, it's just, you just cleave and cleave and cleave and you get a quick glucose load. So we normally call those foods that say they have a high glycemic index. So whenever you eat those food, you have a lot of glucose in your body. And bodies say, hey, I'm not going to waste them. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know about Kamala and the president. I don't know what's going to happen. But your body stores it. And that's why we like you to be, consider don't eating too much of those things. Whereas proteins and fats, they're more complex. So the process to get them to glucose is a gradual process. So they have a low glycemic index. And that's why we really balance what we eat. That's another topic for nutrition. But again, if you don't burn it up, you store it as fat and as cholesterol in the lining of the blood vessel. So you could say, okay, Dr. Agard, I really don't eat much. I eat healthy. I'm a vegan. But any person, regardless of who you are, because we see actually Indians have the most vegetarian, but they have one of the highest heart disease rate. Very, very high heart disease rate. We see them, actually there was a young guy, he came to me, his cousin lived in Boston, 39 years old, had just gotten a heart attack that morning. So he came into my office and he was really in tears and saying, Dr. Agard, my cousin just had a major heart attack and he wants to see, they're both 39 years old, he wants me to check him out to see if he did. When I did his EKG, he already had a silent heart attack and he didn't know. All right. So, but yeah, so the thing is, once you have a plaque, you could run a marathon. But that very same person could drop dead. I could listen to your heart and say you have like heart of a 20-year-old and you walk out there and drop dead. Because if that plaque spontaneously rupture, the mechanism by which that happened, and again, I want you to use your imagination, your mind's eye. When a person get a cut, the reason why you don't bleed to death, inside the blood vessel, we have red blood cells that carries oxygen and nutrition. We have white blood cells, those are cells that fight infection, and then we have platelets. The purpose of platelets, they're inside the blood vessel, as the blood flows, the very first platelet, as soon as it touches that part of the blood vessel that damaged, it sends a chemical cascade upstream. And all the platelets flowing by, they become very sticky. They don't stick to the side of the blood vessel if it's not damaged, or they don't stick to each other. But once it gets to the damaged part, that cascade escalates, and they now become very, and I'm just saying that for simplicity, the whole mechanism that leads to it, but they become magnetized, they become like magnet. And then they start sticking to each other until they fill that area with what we call a platelet plug, and you stop bleeding. Now, just imagine inside of your blood vessel, if one of these plaques, remember the more bulky your plaques is, and that's why it's important to have it tested, especially if you have a family history, like if you have a male in your family that have any kind of heart disease before age 55 or female before 65, that's very significant for you, all right? But so these are things to look at and really put yourself to make some changes or get tested. But so the higher your cholesterol is, and we're going to give some numbers soon, the more bulky those plaques are. So it means that you have a higher risk of getting a heart attack or a stroke. So what happened, remember, even if that plaque is not big, so you just run a marathon, if the plaque rupture, all right, that same process by which the body formed that clot to make you not bleed to death will occur. Because once the integrity of the lining of the blood vessel is damaged, it sends that same signal up. And while you're sleeping, that's why the people I told you about, they never had any idea. This woman was talking and didn't see it coming. It's not like she said, I wasn't feeling well that morning. Some of these people feel as good as they are. This guy went to the gym. And when he came home from the gym, it's not like he was feeling bad. He wasn't lightheaded or anything. But he get like an acute event, and that can happen to any one of us at any time. The most we could do, because even as a physician, we cannot predict when that can happen. So the most thing we could do is decrease your risk factor. So what we are saying is that we are getting closer and closer to find out why these are happening in young people, especially. Certainly, Harvard and Mayo Clinic, they're doing a lot of research. So we are saying that inflammation, that's the big thing now. I don't know you guys who, if you read, inflammation is the basis of the majority of disease process. So we are saying that heart attacks and stroke, inflammation. Cancers, inflammation. Inflammation in the body. So what causes these inflammations? Stress is number one, followed by things like if you have diabetes, actually if a person is diabetic, they are considered as though they already have coronary artery disease. Diabetes is a big thing. Then we are looking at definitely harmful substances like tobacco, and any alcohol, any form of alcohol is also a big one. We are also looking now, it's a big thing that we are looking at is people who eat a lot of ultra-processed food. That's another big thing, because when these ultra-processed food, even when they're vegan and vegetarian, there's some stuff that they put in it so that they could keep it from spoiling and doing things. We have the little things how we could protect, from the elements, but ultra-processed food is a big thing. They're looking at microplastics. Microplastic, because what actually recently high on the list now is looking at when did we start seeing these younger and younger people? Because I remember when we grew up in Tobago and even here, there are some people in Tobago that was old when we were growing up and they're still old, but we are seeing now, and they're looking at like in the 80s when plastic starts coming in, all right? And they're thinking that played a significant role. Everything, it's a water bottle in plastic and all that. So we don't know. And a lot we didn't know before, but they're looking at that. Another invention that came in around that time too is the non-stick pan with the Teflon. They're calling them now forever chemicals. And we're not so, and a lot of it we didn't know, because when those things start scratching and start getting decay, you could get leak microplastics from it, aluminum. There's a lot of different things that we try to avoid, because some of them might be playing a significant role. Most recently, they're looking at certain viruses. A lot of people jump on the bandwagon and say, it's all the vaccines from COVID. It's not. All right? The virus itself, COVID virus, it's a unique virus. And there's several viruses that could cause cancer, several viruses that creates inflammation. The spike protein in the COVID virus, because there's still a lot of COVID around, the spike protein can create something called DIC. Actually, there were two patients in my practice, two brothers. One was obese, morbidly obese, had diabetes, had high blood pressure, very sick, sickly guy. And his brother, younger brother, plays soccer, no medical problem whatsoever. Both of them get COVID. You know who died? The young one without any medical problem. We saw a lot of young people who have absolutely no medical problem, because COVID and that spike protein in the virus itself creates something in your body called DIC, disseminated intravascular coagulation, which is the same thing, it creates that inflammation. So again, they're looking at that because there's still a lot of COVID around, right? So the key is whatever can create that inflammation. How do you, then the next test, long ago, if we saw someone that had, or you say, Dr. Agard, if inflammation causes a plaque to rupture, and we cannot predict it, why we don't just check the inflammation? There are two ways we usually would be able to check inflammation. One is called the ESR, stands for erythrocyte sedimentation rate. That's like the standard, the first one that we had. But it's very non-specific, because that would check inflammation throughout your body. If you have inflammation in your knees, in your chest, in your lungs, in your heart, your bowels, it's just general, what we call quantitative. So that really was not helpful. The other one was a C-reactive protein. And you could check a C-reactive protein, but again, it's quantitative. So if you had an infection, if you have like a viral infection, bacterial infection, or you have arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, people who have any kind of autoimmune disorder where your body actually turns against itself, your body does that. Again, that's a whole nother topic, because now we are seeing where we could use that information that God built into us now and even fight cancer. So some of the older stage 3 and 4 cancers now now can actually be cured because using again. So there's some really good stuff coming down the pike. But so that C-reactive protein is again quantitative. Mayo Clinic just came out with a new test. It's about 6 months old. It's called a high sensitivity C-reactive protein. So that's a marker for inflammation inside of the blood vessel. It is very pivotal, all right? And what we see is that when we check that level, and I think they're doing it in Trinidad, when we check that level, if your high sensitivity C-reactive protein is less than 1, you have a very low risk of getting a heart attack or stroke, regardless of your cholesterol. You have a low risk. So it's an important test. We now do it. Everyone who gets their annual and get a cholesterol test, we add that test. Insurance is paying for it. If that number is between 1 and 3, unfortunately mine was 2.5 despite eating very well, despite running on morning and swimming and trying to eat as healthy as I can. But again, some of this could be genetic because, you know, my mom at age 57, you know, died, you know, at a young age. But, you know, so a lot of times some of these can be. So again, if that number is greater than 3, we look at that patient or that person, and we will guarantee you, Roger, we'll guarantee you in the next 5 years you will get a heart attack or stroke. The problem is we don't know if it's tonight, we don't know if it's a year from now, we don't know if it's 5 years from now. But in the next 5 years you will get. That's how these tests now that God has blessed us with that wisdom that we can be predictive, you know. So it's good. And then the next question is, if there's inflammation and we don't know, how do we do things to get rid of that inflammation? And one way, if you eat a predominantly plant-based diet, because plants has fibers, there's no fiber in animal products. These fibers helps to remove inflammation from your gut. The other thing is exercise. And when we say exercise, you know, I have some patients, well, I'm in construction, I work hard all day. That doesn't come. You could walk from here to, let me see where, you could walk from here to Arima every day, and you do get some benefit. But you have to do something that speed your heart rate up. And the American Heart Association now recommend if you could get at least 2 days of weight lifting, weight bearing exercise, that does help your heart. So those are the big thing. If you've done all that and it's still elevated, because like I said, there's some people, despite their best efforts, still have it and they're at risk, then we recommend cholesterol medicine, because when we give cholesterol medicine, not only does it lower the cholesterol, and people have all the things that they see on the internet, God tells us in his word, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all you're getting, get understanding. If you have a strong family history where people could barely live past 40 and 50, you know, I have some patients who have, you know, young people with heart attack and stroke, you better check yourself. All right, and if you have to do it, you're going to do it, and don't listen to a lot of these crazy stuff that they have out there. Because there's some people now with AI-generated information who is telling you that diabetes is not what the doctor's telling you. Actually, there's a big thing now where they're using Dr. Phil, who is a noted, famous doctor, and they tell you it's a bacteria, not a bacteria, it's a parasite that destroy your islets of Langerhans, and his wife now could eat and drink anything because they got this thing that made with berberine, and it's a combination of berberine, cinnamon, and a special honey that only comes from Japan. And then you get a special discount if you buy like 3 months supply. And but the ship that left Japan, they're not showing if that another ship would come, so you should get 6 months supply. It is so bogus you would not believe. And they have his voice. They are using one now with Ben Carson for memory. They have one with all the Denzel Washington. And so yeah, just be careful of the information that you get out there. All right. So hopefully I could. So when we look at, whenever you go to get your blood tests, especially your cholesterol, long ago we used to be satisfied if your LDL, your bad cholesterol, that cholesterol that builds these plaque, we used to be happy if it was less than 130 and you had absolutely no risk factor. You say, Dr. Agard, I'm young, my LDL cholesterol is like 128 or 130, and we say, okay, just, you know, continue lifestyle. Or if a person have diabetes, we used to say we like that LDL to be less than 70. If a person has a history of heart attack or stroke, we used to say we wanted, no, less, the previous previous one, diabetes less than 100, heart disease, your experience, not your family, less than 70. That is out the window now. Again, because we're seeing so many young people just dropping dead. So what we are saying now, everybody LDL, and those are numbers you need to know when you go to the doctor. Everybody LDL, your bad cholesterol, the lousy one, to remember between bad and good. There's two types of cholesterol. The good cholesterol is the HDL cholesterol. The reason why we call it HDL, it literally goes inside that blood vessel in that tube, and it actually removes that cholesterol, take it to your liver and get rid of it. So you want that to be as high as possible, and the bad one you want to be as low as possible. So we're saying everybody should be less than 100. If a person have diabetes, that number needs to be less than 70. If a person have a history of heart attack, history of stroke, history of TIA, transient ischemic attack, if at any point in time you may have had any type of carotid ultrasound, which is the two arteries that carry blood to the brain, vertebral-basilar artery, or in your legs or in the aorta, any suggestion that there's any kind of plaques, or males who have erectile dysfunction, because it's usually a vascular problem, those people need to be less than 55. That's the goal, absolute goal, less than 55. There is a study going on right now at Harvard University where they looked at retrospectively at more than 35,000 patients. And what they found that anyone who had an LDL cholesterol between 30 and 60, there was not one single episode of heart attack and stroke. And that's how they got those numbers. So we call those evidence-based medicine. We can put, especially now we have AI-generated information, we could look at millions of cases in real time and come up to see what's the best option. All right? So it's just telling us how important lifestyle is, how we should eat, when we should eat, why we should eat, and exercise, exercise, exercise. So those are the numbers. The HDL cholesterol, which is the good cholesterol, you want that to be as high as possible. So know your numbers. When you go to the doctor, in males, we like that number to be higher than 40. In females, that number should be higher than 50. But anyone that gets your HDL above 60, population studies suggest that those are the people who usually live between 80 and 100 years old, and there's no dementia. They usually don't get dementia. Actually, there's two things that predicts longevity. One is if you have a parent, you just need one of the six. A parent or a grandparent that lived to be in the 90s is the strongest factor you're going to live to be 100. And the other one is if your HDL cholesterol is above. I see the guy in the back who showed you. Yeah. And okay, good. All right. But again, you know what I tell my patients? I say genetics is like a loaded gun. Lifestyle still pulls the trigger, because genetics only contribute about 33% of this. Lifestyle, that's why when you have all those doctor exercise, doctor sunlight, they're little cartoons, but they're important. A lot of time we leave here and we just take it for granted. You know, here today, gone tomorrow, all because we don't do those little, and really, it doesn't cost you anything. Simple thing. You know, when you stay in your bed and instead of going for that extra walk or so, you're paying for it. All right? And so we hope that, you know, these little tidbits could help. Now, the big thing I must talk about diabetes. I mean, there's so many things I could talk about, all the different cancers and prostate cancer, colon cancer, breast cancer. There's a lot to talk about in this short time. But we're going to cover diabetes. Diabetes is like one of the worst illness a person could have. But yet still, we know enough about it that you really don't have to suffer the consequence of diabetes. Diabetes, the three problems that diabetics are faced with mainly is the leading cause of blindness. And the blindness is not from cataract or from glaucoma or blurred vision that you might have. It's from in the back of your eye. Every diabetic needs to get an annual exam where the doctor look in the back of your eye. There's something called diabetic neovascularization, because when the blood sugar is elevated, it forms new blood vessel in the back of the eye, and that's what leads to irreversible blindness. And that could be treated, all right? But again, controlling your blood sugar is what what helps. The other thing diabetes does is the leading cause of kidney failure. If you go to any dialysis center, the majority of people they're diabetic. The same thing with is one of the leading cause for amputation because of what we call neuropathy. Because when the blood sugar again is elevated, because once you eat, that blood sugar should be driven into the muscle. If it stays around, it damages the eyes, damages the kidney, damages the nerves. And so again, that's important. How do we diagnose diabetes? If you fast for at least 8 hours, your blood sugar should be less than 100. If it's between 100 and 125, we normally would do that in more than one occasion, because when my patients, they have to go for their physical for jobs, and so the longer you fast, the lower your blood sugar would go. So it could give you a false sense of security. But but if on more than one occasion your fasting blood sugar is 126 and above, technically you have diabetes. But there's a simpler test called a hemoglobin A1C. You don't have to fast for that. You could just eat a whole ton load of sugar and just have it done. Because what that does, that counts your blood sugar over the past 3 months. All right, so it averages out, and usually the numbers that we look at is when you have a hemoglobin A1C, it should be between 4.5 and 5.6. That's normal. 5.7 to 6.4 is what is considered borderline or pre-diabetes. And if you're there, you got to take stock, because you're heading to become diabetic. Once you become a diabetic, you're considered diabetic for the rest of your life. For people who have to get life insurance and all that stuff, if you're diabetic, some insurance don't even insure you, because again, diabetes is considered as though you already have coronary artery disease, because it's so what we call atherogenic. By atherogenic, it means when you eat, you have a greater chance of building these plaques. Because most diabetics, your blood sugar could be 1,000. That's not what kills you. You're going to be lethargic. You're going to get blurred vision. You're going to be going to the bathroom like every minute. Sometimes that's how it's people recognize that they have it. And that blurred vision that you get, once the blood sugar is controlled, it's reversed. Because just that when the blood sugar is high, it changes the lens, so you get blurred vision. But once the blood sugar gets better, so that's not the blindness we're talking about. But so again, once you above 6.5 and above, you're diabetic. There was a big study that was done in Boston called the DCCT trial, and in that study, more than 25,000, it's a long time ago, but more than 25,000 patients were studied, so it makes it very authentic. What we found that if a person is diabetic, the goal is to have that hemoglobin A1C less than 7. When it's less than 7, we could almost guarantee that you would not go blind, you would not get kidney failure, you would not get amputation. But once it's above 7, all bets are off. So, we try to keep it below 7. That's really the goal. We want to talk a little bit about high blood pressure. High blood pressure is another very dangerous disease, in the sense that what the blood pressure is, there's 2 numbers. The top number is the systolic, and the systole is when the heart squeezes. The heart is a pump, so when the heart squeezes, each time it squeezes, it sends blood loaded with oxygen and nutrition to the brain and to the rest of the body. The bottom number is the diastolic number, and that's when the heart releases, because when it's squeezed, the blood has to come back. So that's important too. But those things are important to know. And always remember, when you check your blood pressure, what kind of numbers you have, it means that your heart has to generate a pressure beyond that number to get your blood flowing. So if your blood pressure is 150, your heart has to pump 160 or so to get the blood flowing. If it's plumping at the same level, blood wouldn't move. So that's why, so long ago, if you ask somebody, what's the ideal blood pressure? And the number you would get is that the ideal blood pressure is 120/80. That's not true, okay? There was a study that was done in Florida called the SPRINT trial, and in that study, those numbers were adjusted, because again, for the same reason we've seen people just drop dead, because remember, high blood pressure is the #1 cause for stroke, and also the #1 cause for dementia. All right, people thinking dementia is Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is just a type of dementia, but it is the #1 cause. So So what we are looking at for blood pressure, we really want your ideal blood pressure between 110 and 119. 120 to 129 is now considered elevated blood pressure. 130 to 139 is now considered stage 1 hypertension. It used to be okay before. 140 is stage 2, 150 is stage 3, and the higher it goes, the number goes up. If a person go to the doctor and the blood pressure is like 150 over 90, that doesn't mean that you have high blood pressure, because blood pressure is a dynamic thing. Pain sends it up, anxiety sends it up, stress sends it up, the white coat from the doctor sends it up. If you had some caffeine, which sends it up, people who smoke tobacco sends it up, alcohol sends it up. So again, we normally would look at more than 3 consecutive readings on different days to know. And again, they're looking at some people just anxious, especially the first time your blood pressure is up. That remains etched in your memory. So you go to the doctor and you just can't think. Is it high? Is it low? You heard a lecture from Dr. Agard that is going to cause dementia, cause all different kind of things. So it stays with you. So we normally recommend that you get one and check at home, and if you check it at home and it's high, because that's remember that it's etched in your memory. Just do it 5 minutes apart and take 3 readings, and we use the lowest one. Again, and your feet should be on the ground. If you go to the doctor's office, don't let them check your blood pressure with your clothes. Let it be your bare skin. Your arm should be about the height of your, so there are ways to take it at the height of the level of your heart. Your feet should be on the ground and you sit comfortable, and you should not be talking during the time that you're checking your blood pressure. So those are things little things that you need. And if your blood pressure is high, you start taking, regardless of what the the reason why it might be elevated, but you start taking stocks about cutting back on your salt. And this is one way that exercise is important, because if you exercise regularly, you're going to bring your blood pressure down by 10 points, which is the equivalent of 1 medication. And it's the one time that you see it right away. It doesn't take months or weeks for that to happen. You see it right away. And there's several benefits. So exercise builds your HDL cholesterol. We're talking about the HDL. You want to be above 60. Exercise builds it. Tobacco suppresses it. Exercise, again, actually, there was a recent study, and this is important for male. If a male increases cardio workout just by 2%, you decrease your risk of prostate cancer by 33%. It just shows you the benefit of exercise. How we get, this big thing that, we just don't have time. And yeah, we're busy, but you have to be intentional about it. Okay, so that's, so exercise, it can change the dynamics for cardiovascular disease. I don't know, it's getting to 5 o'clock. Yeah, let's, we could do some question, because, I could talk for the rest of the day. Yeah, so.
Right. Good evening, everyone. So my first question is, how do you get rid of inflammation? What's the easiest way you can do that? And my other question is, you were talking about when you do the test to see if you could know within 5 years if some person would have a heart attack or a stroke. If you start working out, like when you find out the diagnosis, would it help or prevent you from getting the heart attack?
Well, that's why you take, and that's why you should know your family history, go get you checked up, so that you know. But really, there are two ways, and which has been tested and true. You go predominantly plant-based, because plants remove inflammation. Plant, because of the fibers, soluble fibers, remove inflammation through your gut biome, and that's really one way. The other way is exercise. Exercise also helps to remove that inflammation. So again, if you see those things, even when my patient and when the high sensitivity C-reactive protein, which is a test that we have, even when it's between 1 and 3, which is not terrible, it's just moderate risk. It's not the high risk. The high risk is anything greater than 3. then those, but we still really try to put things in place. That's another reason to bring your LDL cholesterol down as low as possible and build your HDL cholesterol. So you really put in exercise. But if you know that really, Dr. Agard, I'm doing all, I think I'm a vegan, I'm a vegetarian, I exercise, and it's still high, then we would recommend that you go on medication. Medication does help, because a lot of time people poo-poo about people being on statin. All the studies showing that it does save lives, because when you're on a statin, if the cholesterol is like high and you have a lot of risk factors, not only does it lower the cholesterol, but it acts like a secondary prevention because it decreases that inflammation. So statin does do that too. But we always push, medicine should always be the last resort, but God give us the wisdom that we can use if needed.
Good day. I'm asking about visceral fat in terms of the inflammation you were speaking about. Getting rid of visceral fat, that's one. And I recently was looking at a video where it spoke about some of the clothing that we wear, polyester and different things, having certain dyes and so on in it that also causes cancer. Could you speak to that? Thank you.
So, dyes on a whole, exposure to dyes can lead to bladder cancer. Certainly the industry it's been around for a long time. We have not seen any evidence that wearing the clothes would cause it, although we know that aniline dye especially, that's one that's very highly. Actually, if we see a person will come in and they have blood in the urine and we diagnose them with bladder cancer, that's one of the first things. Did you work in a factory or anything like that? We in the medical field, especially in internal medicine, we never say never. If a person might be the first person in 100 years or in 1 million people that have it, then we have to take it. It might not be gospel, but you still have to examine it. And you just have to be careful, because a lot of the people who might be criticizing polyester because they have cotton, they have something else to sell. If you look at Dr. Gondry, who's a noted cardiologist, always in the news, he has some good stuff that he said, but he tell you don't eat oats at all right? And because he has when you continue down, he has something that is better than earth. So you have to be very cautious, even when we examine a lot of research, we have to look for the biasness in it. Because if you're not doing it, so there's a lot of biasness. Everybody has something to sell. So just be cautious about that. And that's why we really try to keep it simple. We in internal medicine, the American Medical Association, we don't recommend multivitamins and all that stuff. They might have some benefit. We really don't know. All right, and I'm not going to get to the visceral fat yet, but there was two landmark studies. One was done by the American Medical Association, looking at ginkgo biloba. All the studies shows that ginkgo does help with memory. There's no if, ands, or but. It does help with memory. So the American Medical Association, they went into a store and they just randomly selected 25 products that advertised ginkgo. Of the 25 products, only 5 had any ginkgo in it. And of the 5, only 2 had the amount that would be beneficial. The American Orthopedic Association did the same thing with glucosamine and conjunctin sulfate, which is the components of joint fluid. And they tested 35 products. Of the 35 products, only 13 had any glucosamine. And of the 13, only 5 had the amount of that would be beneficial. And sometimes it might not be that these companies are crooked. Some of them, because a lot of time, once they get that green light from the FDA that they're nutritionals, there's no more monitoring, so they could. And the thing is, a lot of times you don't know the shelf life. By the time they get to you, they're so useless. So most time I tell my patients, all you're making is expensive urine. That's all you're making. Get a juicer and juice. Yes, and eat the rainbow. Eat a wide variety, especially the colored vegetables. Eat the rainbow, the way God packaged it. But we go on after, these, quick fix, and everything, almost everything on the news now, or on all these advertisements about these vitamins. And I'm not saying some of them might be important, because one of the big thing in especially now, vitamin D. Vitamin D is very important. For you who live here, I don't think it should be a challenge because you're exposed to a lot of sun. But as we go into the fall, coming into the fall and into the winter, there's less sun, and especially people of color, because of the melanin in our skin, we don't get skin cancer, but this acts like a sunscreen. Caucasian people, when they use sunscreen, they absorb zero vitamin D. And vitamin D is very important because it's a major prevention for dementia. It's a major prevention for osteoporosis, especially in women postmenopausal. It's a major prevention of colon cancer. It's a major, people who have vitamin D deficiency have higher risk of contacting COVID infection. So there's a lot of things, MS, multiple sclerosis, vitamin D deficiency. So vitamin D is very important. So make sure you get your sun. A lot of black people now we are seen using sunscreen and all that stuff. Or when we travel and go in Africa, they're wearing a lot of long sleeves because they don't want to get darker than and with regard to the visceral fat is really the fat that leads to a lot of cardiovascular disease and a lot of even cancers too. So again, a good weight loss program, just really modifying your diet, what you eat, how you eat, when you eat, and really try to exercise, if you want to see a dietitian or so. But eating sensible can eventually, in the long road, it's not a quick fix you want to get. You want to really be intentional and stick to a routine. I know sometimes some of us might be emotional eaters when we're stressed, and God knows a lot of people dealing with a lot of stress now. That's how we end up storing these visceral fat. They're hard to lose, but they're not impossible. All right. Anyone else? I guess I was so clear that everybody here.
One more question on someone who maybe had a mild stroke and it's affecting their throat, their ability to speak, and the ability maybe to swallow certain foods and so on. What is the best way to assist that person?
So
Ageable.
Right, yeah. So when a person has a stroke, we always think that they're just paralyzed in their arms or voice, their speech. They become dysarthric, which have difficulty to speak, or they might have what we call aphasia, expressive aphasia or receptive aphasia. But all those are manifestation of stroke. So stroke, it doesn't just mean that you're paralyzed. It could be a muscle in your chin. Sometimes, just last week I saw a patient and he was having some memory issues, and we did just some mild memory issues, did a MRI of the brain and saw where they had a stroke before, what we call a lacuna in fat. So it might not affect a muscle that you use regularly. In this process of swallowing, it can in some cases, like in this person. When they have dysphagia, the key issue is they have a higher risk of aspiration, getting pneumonia. So they have to be careful. Sometimes we recommend to have a speech evaluation, and they could give a specialized diet, especially depending on the severity of what it is. Sometimes you just have to make sure if you know that person, to tell them when they're swallowing, just be cautious, because it's a real thing. Because when we swallow, just think of a worm. Muscle relax, contract, and that's what pushes the fluid forward. But if the muscle, is not behaving the way that it should, it could get stuck. Sometimes you could get esophageal, what we call dysmotility, that could create complications later. The key is, because if you have a TIA or even any kind of mild stroke, regardless of what people say, you must be on an aspirin every day, and you must be on a cholesterol medicine every day. Because the aspirin, remember mentioned about the platelets coming together, so the aspirin prevents platelets from coming together. Because if a person has a stroke, the chance goes up exponentially that you have another stroke. All right, so you must be prevented. So an aspirin, it's like malpractice. If if you don't. So an aspirin every day and cholesterol, the statin. What the statin does, it lowers the cholesterol. But not only that, it's really a powerful anti-inflammation, because remember, inflammation is what causes that plaque to rupture. So we highly recommend it, evidence-based medicine. So I think everyone, hopefully, you know, you glean something from it, and
Well, thank you very much. Amen, everybody. Amen. All right, so as Dr. Agard said, don't let this pass through our ears. I think it was very simple. You find so? Yeah? I could teach you that, man. And Jesse, if you could put up that flyer for our health month. Our health month is the month of October. You don't have it? No, it's October. We want some time. My media people tell me that we need time to promote it and to get it. But we really, really thank you, Dr. Agard. Thanks so much, Sister Ingrid, as well. Thanks for your patience. Yeah. I know must hear this 1,000 times. 1,000,000 times. So she could sleep through this and know exactly what he spoke about. But that's the problem in being a professional. You just are always on call. And I know that I could say this, Dr. Agard doesn't do this for anything else but for the love of it. He's one of those true doctors. Remember those long-time doctors? We used to go by those Chinese doctors and you could tell them anything, you know, and they just love the practice. I know that he loves it, you know. And we just got grateful. We didn't plan this. So God is good, and we're going to close. I really want to put up that, Jesse, because I want our people to start thinking of that while we get ready to sing our closing song. Yeah? Let me just put it up for you. Find it. So we're going to sing our closing song. Again, we want to thank my sister-in-law Gail for dropping in on us as well. And Uncle Sonny. That's our Uncle Sonny there. Let me find Jesse. Alright, this is it here. Alright. So it's going to come up in a while. Let's sing our closing song. What's the song again? Number 50. Abide with me. Let's stand together as we sing this song. Abide with me, number 50 in the hymnal. Don't forget you have a great contribution in your hand. It's a very precious gift. Come, Semi. Let's go together. Abide with me. Abide with me. Lord, with me abide when other helpers fail and comforts flee. Help of the helpless soul, abide with me. Swift to close ebbs out like little day. Earth's joys grow dim, its glories pass away. Change and decay in all around I see. Oh, thou who changest not, abide with me. I need thy presence. I need thy presence every passing hour. What about thy grace can for the tempter's power? My cloud and sunshine. Cloud and sunshine, oh, abide with me. I fear no foe. I fear no foe. With thee at hand to bless. Ills have no weight. Have no weight, and there's no bitterness. Where is man's sting? Where with thy victory? I triumph still. Triumph still in God. Abide with. Let's take it down now. Just bow your heads with me as we close off today. So, loving Father, you have filled us with information, but more than information, knowledge and wisdom. We thank you, dear Lord, for Dr. Agard and his wife, even Gail and Uncle Sonny coming to spend this afternoon with us. We are very, very grateful for this little health talk. And dear Lord, we are convinced, we are convicted that you really love us so much that you wish above all things that we prosper and be in health even as our soul prospers. So I pray there, Lord, that we will take full control of our lives, our appetites, our emotions, so that we can bring our body in line with this message. Be with us as we leave this place. Continue to watch between us until we meet again. Give us traveling mercies. Give us peace in our homes and peace in our hearts. Where there are those who are bereaved even now, I pray that you will comfort those who are going through special and acute circumstances. They will know that God is still in charge. Hear our prayer and dismiss us with heaven's blessings, we pray. In Jesus' wonderful name. Amen. And may the saving grace of our Lord and the Savior Jesus Christ, the love of God and the fellowship of his Holy Spirit rest and abide with us now and forevermore. Amen. Amen. We'll send it to the group, so keep reminding people there's a QR code on it that it will be linked to our registration. We'll get more information on that on the chat this week so that we can have people come and be blessed. We'll have health talks, we'll have massages. Sister Gail, you could come down, right? Come on down, man. Come on down. Yes. Yes, and those who do their special cottage trades and stuff like that, Sister Lauren, Sister Sobs, Sanella, who makes sauces, we're going to have it as a real expo. You can come and get your stuff open up. It's a community thing, so we're going to have every person in the community coming here. Don't know where they're going to fit, but you're going to find place for them, all right? Any other announcement that I missed? We have yes, Sister Lauren, we still have the thing on. And for those online, I'm sorry. And those online, we have to let you go now. Thanks for joining us. Sister Lauren, come quickly as she